Reading Srimad Bhagavatam 5:49. Kvachit, sometimes. Cha, also. Vatya, aupamyaya, compared to a whirlwind. Pramadaya, by a beautiful woman. Aroham, aropitaha, race onto the lap for sex enjoyment. Tatkala rajasa, by the passion of lusty desires at that moment. Rajni bhutaha, darkness of night. Eva, like. Asadu maryadaha, who is without proper respect for the higher witnesses. Raja vala akshaha, blinded by strong, lusty desires. Api, suddenly. Dik devataha, the demigods in charge of different directions, like the sun and the moon. Atiraja vallamatihi, whose mind is overcome by lust. Na vijananti, does not know that witnesses all around take note of his impudent sexual acts. Translation: sometimes as if blinded by the dust of a whirlwind, the conditioned soul sees the beauty of the opposite sex, which is called pramada. Being thus bewildered, he is raised upon the lap of a woman, and at that time his good senses are overcome by the force of passion. He thus becomes almost blind with lusty desire and disobeys the rules and regulations governing sex life. He does not know that his disobedience is witnessed by different demigods, and he enjoys illicit sex in the dead of night, not seeing the future punishment awaiting him. Sometimes, as if blinded by the dust of a whirlwind, the conditioned soul sees the beauty of the opposite sex, which is called pramada. Being thus bewildered, he is raised upon the lap of a woman. At that time, his good senses are overcome by the force of passion. He thus becomes almost blind with lusty desires and disobeys the rules and regulations governing sex life. He does not know that his disobedience is witnessed by different demigods, and he enjoys illicit sex in the dead of night, not seeing the future punishment awaiting him. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.T. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:11 it is said, Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmin bharatashabha. Sex life is allowed only for begetting of children, not for enjoyment. One can indulge in sex to beget a good child for the benefit of the family, society, and the world. Otherwise, sex is against the rules and regulation of religious life. A materialistic person does not believe that everything is managed in nature, and he does not know that if one does something wrong, he is witnessed by different demigods. A person enjoys illicit sex, and due to his blind, lusty desire, he thinks that no one can see him. But this illicit sex is thoroughly observed by the agents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the person is punished in so many ways. Presently in Kali Yuga, there are many pregnancies due to illicit sex, and sometimes abortions ensure. These sinful activities are witnessed by the agents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a man and a woman who create such situation are punished in the future by the stringent laws of material nature. Deviye Sugunamai Mamamaya Trutyaya. Illicit sex is never excused. Those who indulge in it are punished life after life, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 16:20. Asurim yonimappanam mukta janmane janmane mamma prapyaiva kaunteya tato yanti adamam gatim. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demonic life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Supreme Personality of Godhead does not allow anyone to act against the stringent laws of material nature. Therefore, illicit sex is punished life after life. Illicit sex creates pregnancy, and these unwanted pregnancies lead to abortion. Those involved become implicated in this sin, so much so that they are punished in the same way the next life. Thus, in the next life, they also enter the womb of mother and are killed in the same way. All these things can be avoided by remaining on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness. In this way, one does not commit sinful activities. Illicit sex is the most prominent sin due to lusty desire. When one associates with the mode of passion, is implicated in suffering life after life. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurmilitamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Satsitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Vidati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sakajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajim Shadvidam Shavadutam Parajanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchna Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namarom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we had discussed about the danger of accumulating wealth. Yes, how by gathering wealth you develop a lot of uh, impure qualities that are very detrimental for spiritual advancement. So today we are going to hear about the dangers of another important thing that has to be very much be curbed, and that is sex life. Uh, this is the highest point in the life of a human being. They are always centered on eating, sleeping, and mating and defending. So this mating principle constitutes the highest point in a person's life. He is so much addicted to this. Actually, in Kali Yuga, there are three things they are addicted to: women, uh, intoxication, and pride. So these are the three things that are overwhelming. And you can see today, especially with the mass communication, with the so-called media, it all centered on this actually, sex life. Nothing sells better than sex, as they say. But it has a big pitfall in trying to go in that way. And what are the pitfalls that we will study today? See, sex life, as it says, Prabhupada opens the verse by saying that sex life is not prohibited, provided it is employed in utilizing it not against dharma. The dharma means that sex life should be utilized for the purpose of procreation. Dharma aviruddho. Dharma viruddho. Viruddho means against. Aviruddho means not against. So there are propensities, but it has to be channeled right. If you utilize this for the wrong purpose, then the implications also there. Like anything, there's the do's and the don'ts. So you can see here in this verse that Prabhupada said, 7:11, sex life is positively used. uh, and that's how it is all created, you see. In this verse, आपम वीर्यास्य सर्गास्य पर्जनास्य प्रजापते पुंसम शिष्णा उपास्तु तु प्रजाति आनंद निर्वृत्ते है. From the Lord's genital originate water, semen generates, gives rain, and the procreators. His genitals are the cause of pleasure that counteract the distress of begetting. What does that mean? Purport. The genitals and the pleasure of begetting counteract the distress of family encumbrances. One would cease to generate altogether if they are not, by the grace of the Lord, a coating, a pleasure-giving substance on the surface of the generative organ. Hmm? I think I showed this word before. On the surface of the generative organ, this substance gives pleasure so intense that it counteracts fully the distress of family encumbrances. A person is so captivated by this pleasure-giving substance that he is not satisfied by begetting a single child, but increases the number of children with great risk in regard to maintaining them, simply for this pleasure-giving substance. This pleasure-giving substance is not false, however, because it originates from the transcendental body of the Lord. In other words, the pleasure-giving substance is a reality, but is taken on an aspect of pervertness on account of material contamination. In the material world, sex life is the cause of many distress on account of material contact. Therefore, sex life in the material world should not be encouraged beyond the necessity. There is a necessity for generating progeny even in the material world, but such generations of children must be carried out with full responsibility for spiritual values. Spiritual values of life can be realized in the human form of material existence, and the human being must adopt family planning with reference to the context of spiritual values and not otherwise. The degraded form of family restriction by the use of contraceptives, etc., is the grossest type of material contamination. Materialists who use these devices want to fully utilize the pleasure potency of the coating of the genitals by artificial means without knowing the spiritual importance of the human form of life. In other words, without knowledge of the spiritual values, the less intelligent man tries to utilize only the material sense pleasure of the genitals. Very classically explained whole thing. So you see how if a person doesn't have the training, spiritual training, it will go to this very contaminated stage. And this contaminated stage doesn't mean that you are what? That's it. You perform an act, and what does this lead to? Uh, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajaguna Samudbhava. And he said, this is your greatest enemy. Why is he referring to it as the greatest enemy? Why? Because it brings about untold distress. That is also clearly explained by Prahlad Maharaj in that verse. Maitunam etadi, that? 7, 7, 9, 45. You see, in this verse, so in this verse, Maituna, yan Maituna adi, graham edi sukam hai tucham. Eh? This sukam, this the pleasure for the grahamedis. But the word here, hai tucham, is added. Tucham means what? Insignificant. But for the grahamedis, they think this is the topmost pleasure. Huh? Kandu yenena karvayo eva dukkha dukkam. See? That one word of sukam in that line and 3 lines of dukkam. Not just dukkam, dukkha dukkam. When you say dukkam means, yeah, right, no, but dukkha dukkam means what? Dukkam squared. Isn't it? You see? Yeah? And again, tripyanti neha. You don't become happy. You don't become. Tripyanti means, tripta means you are happy. Tripyanti neha. You won't become happy. On the other hand, you become a kripana. Kripana is opposite of a brahmana. That means the qualities of a miser. So you don't get saintly qualities by this activity. You will only get what? Bad qualities. You develop all these bad qualities. And bahudukka bhajaha. Bahudukka again. Lot of misery. Sex life is not a happy activity. Yes? You see? And kandutiva manasijam vishaheta dhira. This intelligent person, he will not want to get involved. See? The translation. Sex life is compared. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to each relief an itch. Grahamed is so-called grahasthas who have no spiritual knowledge think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness. Although actually is the source of distress. The kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensual enjoyment. Those who are dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subject to the sufferings of fools and rascals. So, in other words, this sex life is going to create a lot of miseries. Either you call it licit or illicit, it warrants a lot of, you know, uh, you understand? So, when getting into it, you cannot develop any saintly quality. It is not possible unless because you do it dharma aviruddho. If you do it for the purpose of getting Krishna conscious children, that's the last point. But there's a saying, even in the royal road, you can get accidents. Yes, it's not so easy uh, because dangerous. So you can see how this is creating that effect. Of course, in the Bhagavatam, there are so many stories about devotees who had experience of interrelating with the sex life and suffered the consequences. There is story of Puranjan, right? How he indulged in sex life when he became a woman, right? Yes. And then there is Daksha Prajapati, although he was given blessing by the Lord to engage in sex life, but he developed the quality of offending the devotees. Yes, correct. Oh. And also offending Lord Shiva. See, he became infatuated with pride, attachment. Then there is also a very important story of Ajamil. Ajamil, classic example of a Brahman, eh? But because he contacted a prostitute, associating with her, he became, he lost all his, hmm? My dear king, while it does span his time, oh, we went 24. See how he developed all these very bad qualities. He was a Brahmin, very high quality. Hmm? So you see here, the story of Ajamil begins in this verse. In the city known as Kanyakubja, this is present day Kanpur, there was a Brahmana named Ajamil who married a prostitute, maidservant, and lost all his Brahminical qualities because of the association of that low class women. See here? So just now we heard the word Kripana. So this is an example of how if you associate with the wrong person, here he had a Brahmin wife, he left her and he took a prostitute. And as a result, he lost all his Brahminical qualities. What are the Brahminical qualities? Sama, Dama, Shout. What are all the Brahminical qualities? The 12 of them. Eh? The fault of illicit connection with women is that it makes one lose all Brahminical qualities. Is that point here? So what he did, uh, how bad it became. Maybe he just become, so what anyway, all Brahmins are useless nowadays. So what's the point? Yeah? Yeah? Correct. What did he did? You see what he did? This is how he lost his, stance. Huh? The fallen Brahmana Ajamil gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. That was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. Cheating, stealing, robbing. Hmm? Of course, if you do all these things, you will probably go to jail, no? Hmm? Yes. Huh? So see how sex life is so detrimental that you develop so many bad qualities with it. If you do not do it properly for the purpose of procreation. Hmm? That's why only of the four ashrams, only three, only one is allowed to associate with women. And that also with rules and regulations. It's not just free flow, anything. Uh, Women association is to be handled very carefully. It's not that they are against women or is that we are, no. Because the woman, if she is also not chaste, then the whole thing can go just like Arjuna's argument for not fighting the war is that I kill all the men and the woman will be left unprotected. And what will happen? There will be adultery and then unwanted progeny. Yes. And that way the unwanted progeny, the whole world will become just like now, Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, what's the cause of this suffering? Because there's a lot of unwanted fruits. You know, I just read one case. One man, he was walking his dog, old man, and the children, age 14, 12, like that, few of them, they attacked him, kicked him, and killed him for no reason. See, but you just go and kick an old man and kill him. Why? This is Kali Yuga. Unwanted. So Arjuna was very, very cautious about it, it's dangerous. But now everybody is an unwanted progeny. All these to elicit sexual connection. You understand? It is not something that is. And women, they are very, very powerful. It says in that third canto, 30th chapter, is it? 30. Nobody can overcome them except for the stage Nara Narayana. Nobody can go beyond it. So powerful. And when the mode of passion, if a person gets into the mode of passion, the first thing he get attracted to is the woman. That's the first thing. And his mind, when he gets into uh, sex life, then he loses his intelligence. He loses it. Eh? Just like here you saw Ajamil, it is also confirmed in this verse. The illusory material nature attracts the minute living entity to embrace her. As a result, he assumes forms composed of a quality. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities and must undergo repeated death. See that point here? Yeah? So if you engage in sex life, then you lose all your spiritual qualities. Yeah? See how detrimental it is. That's why it is done under license. It's, I think 11.5, 11.5 Loka. Huh? What? 11.5.11. So there are rules, governing this, you see. Hmm? Loka Vyavam Amma Vya Amisha Madhya Seva. This. Hmm? In this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meditating, and intoxication. Always inclined. Huh? Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities, although the scriptural injunction provides for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine. Such ceremonies are meant for ultimate purpose of renunciation. You understand? In the whole ashram, you get married, then you stay for some time, correct? Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has changed it. He's never asked for renunciation, mostly encouraged to stay and preach Krishna consciousness. That's it. Because Kali Yuga, for a person to get, they will renounce and they'll go to another woman. This is the renunciation, you know. This is, that's why he foresaw, it's not going to work. So you stay at home and you preach Krishna consciousness. That's the solution. So, but the point is that ultimately one should become renounced. You see. Without renunciation, then it is difficult to make spiritual advance. See, right? In this regard, the whole chapter 11:26 explains about what is his name? King Pururava. He's explaining how he got so much entangled and how he got so much illusion, right? Uh, See, it is explained here. One should never associate with materialists, those dedicated to gratifying their genitals and belly. By following them, one falls in the deepest pit of darkness, just like a blind man who follows another blind man. So, the two senses, the belly and the genitals. A materialist means what? One who is interested in gratifying his belly and his genitals. The following song was sung by the famous Emperor Pururava when deprived of his wife Urvasi. He was at first bewildered, but by controlling his lamentation, he began to feel detached. When she was leaving him, even though he was naked, he ran after her just like a madman and called out in great distress, "Oh, my wife, oh, terrible lady, please stop." Although for many years Pururava had enjoyed sex pleasure in the evening hours, still he was not satiated with such insignificant enjoyment. His mind was so attracted to Urvasi that he did not notice how the nights were coming and going. King Aila said, "Alas, just see the extent of my delusion. This goddess was embracing me and held my neck in her grip. My heart was so polluted by love that I had no idea how my life was passing." So this is the result of sex life. You you don't understand. You lose, all your other sense. Where night, day, this, that. Yeah, you get lost. Sex life, you see. The lady cheated me in so much that I did not even see the rising or setting of the sun. Alas, for so many years I passed my days in vain. He was completely absorbed with sense gratification. Huh? Alas, although I am supposed to be a mighty emperor, the crown jewel of all kings on this earth, just see how my bewilderment has rendered me a toy animal in the hands of women. This was also said by Muchukunda, that verse 10:51-51. Yeah? I'm a big emperor, but when I go into the into the room, uh, I'm spin around like a toy animal. So you see how the power of sex life. Eh? Such a big person, emperor, a crown jewel of all the kings on the earth, so powerful. Eh? But in the hand of a woman, what emperor and what crown jewel? Eh? How powerful the women. Eh? Although I was a powerful lord with great opulence, that woman gave me up as if I was no more than an insignificant blade of grass. And still naked and without shame, I followed her, crying out to her like a madman. See how much sex life is so bewildering. Hmm? Where are my so called great influence, power, and sovereignty? Just like an ass been kicked in the face by a she ass, I ran after that woman who had already given me. Huh? See, he was so powerful, but in front of the woman, huh? How insignificant he has become. What is the use of big education or the practice of austerity and renunciation? What is the use of studying religious scriptures or living in solitude and silence if, after all that, one's mind is stolen by a woman? See uh, how detrimental it is. Hmm? If a person claims a big bandit and he has got a big woman with his side, there's something strange. Many so-called spiritualists, they all became victims to what to speak our what is the Muni? Huh? Huh? No, the other one, Vishwamitra. Uh, so powerful, Menaka. See? But then a devotee like Haridas Thakur, you see how he was in the dead of the night, but because he was beyond, he could not be touched by Maya. So that's a different. Unless you have Krishna, then Maya cannot. Eh? Otherwise, you see this, you can become big thing, but your mind is stolen by a woman, then everything is no use. Everything is what? Useless. Your austerity, your big education, your renunciation, all wasting time. Eh? To hell with me. I'm such a fool that I did not even know what was good for me. Although I arrogantly thought I was highly intelligent, although I achieved the exalted position of a lord, I allowed myself to be conquered by women as if I were a bullock or a jackass. Okay? So he is lamenting his position. He says, what happens? You may be very, very, in worldly standard, big emperor, but if you are conquered by some women, then what is your value? Then you are no better than a bullock or a jackass. They ask why the ass is used here in the example. When the ass wants to have sex, it is kicked by the face by the other ass. Yes? Yeah. So you see how the whole thing is, sex life is so detrimental. A person gets in sex life, then credit is all finished. Even after I served the so-called nectar of the lips of Urvasi for many years, my lusty desires kept rising again and again within my heart and were never satiated, just like a fire that can never be extinguished by the obligations of ghee poured into its flame. You see, sex life, there's no such thing as one Swamiji had his philosophy that the best way to finish sense gratification is to engage in sense gratification. And that philosophy does not hold here. The more you put ghee in the fire, the more it will burn. You cannot stop that just by what? Unless you pour a whole lot of ghee and cover it up. That's another thing. But it is not going to work. The only way, he will be explaining, see, he's going to give his. So, how dangerous it is, sex life. Who but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lies beyond material perception and the lot of self satisfied sages, can possibly save my consciousness, which has been stolen by. So, he giving the solution now. The only way you can extricate yourself from this so called contaminated desire is to take shelter uh, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. uh, right? See? That's a verse. Kamari. Ah, that verse. Uh, 22. We'll go there, huh? O my Lord, there's no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. Although I have rendered these desires so much service, they have not shown me to any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor I have even desired to give them up. See this thing? That's how lust is. It is so overbearing, completely bewilders. Just like you saw the case of what's his name? Bilva Mangal Thakur, right? Yeah. He was so attracted to the Chintamani. While he was doing the Shraddha for his father, he was thinking how to quickly finish and go. See how lust is So captivating, so powerful. That's why it says in the Shastra, there's nothing, attachment with material nature is not complete until it is attached to a woman. Complete attachment. How powerful Krishna is. Krishna knows how to keep the material, the living entity, in Maya. How. That's why Lord Shiva also told the Lord, he wanted to see the Mohini form. No, I'm handling Maya. He said, and he became bewildered, you see. So how powerful this Maya is, you cannot simply take her in. But then you see, oh my Lord, oh head of the Yadudana, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened, and now I'm giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of this desire. And I've now come to you to surrender myself at your fearless lotus feet. Kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. This is the solution. If if anyone wants to come out of this, then the only solution is to take shelter of the Lord. You cannot try to escape Krishna's Maya by any other way. That's not possible. Just like Vishwamitra, he tried artificially, became a big yogi, he fell down. Right? It's not possible to handle Krishna's Maya. It's not. So try to understand the power of Krishna. Krishna has created this Maya. It's not this Maya is working under my direction, Krishna says. Madhyakshana Pakirti. This Maya is under my direction. And it says here, because I allowed my intelligence to become dull and because I failed to control my senses, the great confusion in my mind did not go away, even though Urvasi herself gave me wise counsel with well-spoken words. You see this? Because lust is so overwhelming, it clouds the brain, intelligence to become dull. Yeah. Intelligence become dull. Fail to control my senses. And then what happened? Great confusion. The mind gets confused. All these bad qualities. Yeah? How can I blame her for my trouble when I myself am ignorant of my real spiritual nature? I did not control my senses, and so I am like a person who has mistakenly seen a harmless rope as a snake. This is what happens. You cannot see. You are bewildered. You're completely bewildered. You cannot understand. This is how powerful this sex life is, the mode of passion. Right? That's why it is so dangerous to. That's why Krishna said, "This is your enemy. This is your." And we have discussed the danger of trying to passionately make money and trying to what? Now get into sex life. How these are all pitfalls in making spiritual. And today's society is only speaking about those two things: how to make money and how to have sex. So where the world is going, destruction, nothing but this. Even if they take spiritual life, they'll think, no, you become a. We are not saying you don't, but you must also get money, study. Huh? They're promoting what? This is what you call it? Side by side. Yeah? Balance. But you see how dangerous it is? You try to get money, you'll get all bad qualities. And when you get bad qualities, how you can get any spiritual life? As in our experience, 99% people who went that, all finished. They hung their beat back. I mean, long time ago. What beat? What back? Huh? Hello? Because these qualities you develop. You make a survey. All those who go to, as the Prabhupada used to say, this is what? Slaughterhouse education. Why? Because this quality is developed. What quality developed? All these bad qualities. Yes, I think we discussed that in the last class. Right? And now sex life. And what is happening in so-called education institution? Mala, Sheila, you know. Hello? Hello? Mala, not Japa Mala. Huh? Hello? Think. So if you are exposed to all this kind of anarthas, which are the danger in your spiritual pursuit, how are you going to become spiritually enlightened? How? And what will be happening? Your training, because you have some problem with Mala, you went to Sheila. You have a problem with Sheila, then you go to somebody else. So when you come out and you get married, you will also be thinking, maybe this didn't work out, I'll go to something else. Because you're not trained to be renounced. In the brahmachari training, you are trained how not to associate with the opposite sex. That's the training. In Gurukul, the Guru gives you free sex, is it? Party. Huh? Today we are having party, Prabhu. We all can, dance around. Is it possible? Come on, think. See how the training is that you cannot associate with. Why? Because this is what this is the learning yet. Oh, yes. So you understand from young, you understand the pitfalls of what? Freely associating with the opposite. And this is the danger. Understand? And nowadays nobody got this training. And nobody. Yeah, they are trained how to get free condoms, boy. That's how the training is. And what will be the results? Hmm? Ah. As a result, yeah, you see. What is this polluted body anyway? So filthy and full of bad odors. I was attracted by the flower-like fragrance and beauty of a woman's body. And what those so-called attractive features, they are simply a false covering created by illusion. And now, of course, they have got so many what? Huh? They buy this. They don't buy anything else, they'll buy this thing. What do you call that? I was there in Paris. I went. I saw one shop, was this fragrance shop. Wow, it was so crowded, this shop. Everybody is testing and testing. And they don't take bath. And it's explained here. What is this? This fragrance, flower-like fragrance. See how? That's a whole science in how your mind is what? Trapped. Yeah. It is again a very important verse. One can never decide whose property this body actually is. Does it belong to one parent who have given birth to it, to one's wife who gives pleasure, or to one's employee who orders the body around? Is it the body of the funeral fire or the dogs and vultures who may ultimately devour it? Is it the property of the indwelling soul who partakes in his happiness and distress, or does the body belong to intimate friends who encourage and help it? Although a man never definitely ascertains the proprietor of the body, he becomes most attached to it. The material body is so polluted, material form, heading toward a lowly destination. Yet, when a man stares at the face of a woman, he thinks, wow, what a good looking lady. What a charming nose she got. And see her beautiful smile. Hey, out of mind. Yeah? That's why Krishna says, my Maya, Mama Maya, Surat Jaya. Understand? It is not some lightweight, unless you have got very strong spiritual discipline. Yeah? It is very easily be able to swap away. Very easily? The whole advertising industry understood this point. You understand? Even to sell some toothpick, there's some big woman behind it. What? Toothpick, How they have expertly what? Ah, used this principle. Hmm. You understand? How the whole. So we have to learn how to understand this. We cannot learn this unless we have a strong spiritual discipline. The strong spiritual discipline is very much required. That's why we are emphasizing over and again, please come for Mangala Arati. Understand? If you don't come for Mangala Arati, you are not going to get any good of these qualities. That's not possible. That's not possible. And if you don't get these good qualities, then you will get all these kind of qualities. Then what will happen to you? You become bewildered. You become what? Bewildered. Yeah? For fun, we are telling you. Why? Because nobody here in the morning, please come, no? At least fill in the blanks. Is it right? Yeah? Hello? Think. You understand? If you go down to the modes, then it's going to be detrimental. What difference is there between ordinary worms and persons who try to enjoy this material body composed of skin, flesh, blood, muscle, fat, marrow, bone, urine, stool, urine, and pus? That's what the body is all about. And we are trying to enjoy this body. In fact, Lord Shankaracharya also said this point. What is this woman's body? Huh? What is it? There's a verse on that, right? This is the breakdown. You see? Huh? Try to see how we have to be careful. Hmm? Yet, even one who theoretically understands that actual nature of the body should never associate women or with man attached to it. After all, the contact of the senses with the object inevitably agitates the mind. Contact of the senses with the objects inevitably agitates the mind, no matter how it is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you see how careful he was, God himself. Right? A woman had to bow down, where? Wow. Even the wooden form of a woman, so dangerous. You understand? We have to know this thing. So careful. There's rules governing association. Not that we simply, no. I am beyond all this. Huh? There's no lust in my heart, Prabhu. Only love. Yes. Right. So there are lines to draw. If the mind get agitated, then it's finished. Because the mind because the mind coming when here. Mhm. what was the verse? $23. Because the mind is not disturbed, that which is neither seen nor heard. The mind of a person who restricts the material sense will automatically be checked in its material activities and become passive. This is why we have to, Krishna also said, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakta. Keep your mind thinking of me, chanting, hearing. Because if you do not do this, then the mind will become attracted to sense pleasure and will become agitated. Yes. Huh? Idle mind is a what? Devil's workshop. Therefore, one should never let his senses associate freely with women or with men attached to women. Even those who are highly learned cannot trust six enemies of the mind. What to speak then of foolish person like me? Eh? See how the mind can become so much influenced if we freely associate with the women. How dangerous it is. Hmm? Supreme Personality of Godhead said, having thus chanted this song, Maharaj Pururava, eminent among the demigods and human beings, gave up the position he had achieved in the planet of Urvasi. His illusion cleansed the way by transcendental knowledge. He understood me to be the Supreme Soul within his heart, and so at last achieved peace. You see? So you see how the whole program, it can be very dangerous. We are not a woman. There's another verse. It says, woman is like fire and man is like butter. I don't know which butter that cannot melt in which fire. Yes? Huh? So you have to think, we are all got rules, regulations, precautions, how we have to be careful what to speak about associating with other women. Within one's wife also, there are so many condition. Because if you go and associate very freely and have unrestricted sex life, the consequences are going to be very detrimental. So there are rules and regulations governing everything for going towards Krishna. That's why this strong spiritual program is initiated, especially chanting, yeah, following the four principles. Yeah. Why? Because that will help control the. And once the mind is controlled and proper association, then you become peaceful. Otherwise, you'll develop bad qualities. And when you develop all the bad qualities, then you're going to have the consequence. Yes. What is the result? More miseries. Right? Unrestricted enjoying the senses, you become bewildered. You understand? And when you are bewildered, then what is the use of living? You don't know what to do, what not to do. And all this stems from illicit sexual connection. That's why the whole Vedic system, sex life is what? Under restriction. So we have to know why we have to know this thing, because it is for our spiritual betterment. Why is this thing so explained? If you don't know and you think that no, after all, this is necessity of life, we should just go and keep doing it over and over again, what will be the consequence? Right. Especially Kali Yuga, the only reason why they stay together is for sex life. That's the only thing. When there is some, as Prabhupada said, some discrepancy, immediately divorce. Today's but in spiritual line, this is completely different. You have to understand why. Husband and wife are together only to help each other make spiritual advancement, to assist, and not to, to go the other way. That's going to be bad. So, of course, this verse goes on some more. It's about devotee association. So we should know how to come out of this entanglement. The only way is to associate with devotees who have given up sex life. Devotee is not just someone who is having sex life. To associate with devotees who are what? Yeah. And then, you will get strength also. Correct? If you go to a devotee who is simply enjoying sex, then how? How does it work? How does it work? Tell me. So if a person is simply running here and there, as a verse he shows, in the CC. 6:2-7, is it? Huh? So if a person is running around just trying to satisfy his belly and genitals, Antya. Guess what? Sisno Udara. This is what the whole Bhagavatam also is now. So many times this word appears. One who is subservient to the tongue and who thus goes here and there, devoted to the genitals and the belly, cannot attain Krishna. It's not possible. You understand? So there has to be restriction. The only thing is to practice austerity. Tapodevyam putrakaha yena sattvam sudayat tasmai brahma saukyam to anantam. This is the only way. You have to learn to understand the pitfalls of all this, especially money making and trying to enjoy sex life. Two things are very dangerous. Uh, so we have to have restrictions on them, and we have to learn how to control. Then yes, cannot artificially do it. The only way is to engage in the service of Krishna, win the association of devotees, then it will become easy. All right, any questions or comment on this? Because the subject is very lengthy. Any other questions or comments on this? Yes? What?
The word in the words which is Pramada,
Yeah. Women. Translated as women. Beautiful women.
the 11136 Pramada, woman who matters, mother means mad,
Woman who
who matters, matters,
manage.
matters,
Marries.
makes us mad.
Madden. Oh, madden. Yeah, pramada means madden.
One who makes us
Actually, become crazy is the sight of a woman. That's why if a person, unless it's a spiritual program, he has a very strong spiritual program like Sri Haridas Thakur, then no woman can madden him because his heart is completely attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, any man can be swept away.
We always take the example of a non-devotee of Vishwamitra who first later became a devotee. And he was not perfect, then he fell down. And then the opposite is Haridas Thakur, where he did not fall. But is that a fair comparison? Sometimes I feel because when Haridas Thakur is a perfect devotee, imperfect devotees also would fall down.
No, you see, the strength we get is by the mercy of the spiritual master. If you strictly follow the order of the spiritual master and abide by the instruction, then you get a lot of strength also. So that is our saving point to become attached to the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Then yes, you'll be saved by the mercy of Guru. If you don't have the spiritual master, then it's difficult to overcome Krishna's Maya. Difficult, very difficult. So if we at all can sail through, it's only by the mercy of the Guru. On our own, it's going to be, I don't know about others, but I don't see myself having anything, positive. That's why Prabhupada always taught us to always think of, in any situation, to always think of Guru and Krishna. Then yes, protection will be there. Because if you can think of Krishna 24/7, then you are no need anything anymore. You are safe. But how many are in that level? Like Haridas Thakur? I don't know. It's very difficult to go to that very high level. So the saving grace is the spiritual master and Krishna.
The Prabhupada also was taken to youth club. He preached there also.
Well,
So the Prabhupada also.
yeah, he went to the nudist camp and then he got all the nudists to come and join him. That's him. They all ran out with clothes. Uh, Two different words actually. Pramata and Pramada, two different. I think the Pramata is there in 554, 55.
Pramada also means mad. Now he is asking about Pramada and Pramada. Pramada is being
So anyway, be cautious. Last week we explained about trying to go onto the path of accumulating wealth and all the pitfalls. And here today, how dangerous it is to be implicated in sex life. So also brings about a lot of bad qualities that will hamper our spiritual advancement. So we have to be knowing these facts and be very cautious about it. This is the scripture. All right, so we'll stop here then. Thank you very much. I think in that, is there any question in that? All right, thank you very much. We stop here then. Hare Krishna.